Good evening, everyone. I am so very delighted to facilitate this lesson for you. So let's get started without any further ado. Let me just push aside. Yeah. So this lesson today is lesson 5, thinking into results. This is, if you might say, the heart and soul of the Thinking into Results program, and that's why it is named after the exact same program. So this chapter is Thinking into Results. Before we do that, let's have a look at our agenda. So basically, very quickly, I'll introduce lesson 5. We can review lesson 4 worksheets. And then we are going to go over the key points of lesson 5. And then I'll introduce you and explain the worksheets of lesson 5. Now, for the wins of the week, I'm going to share with you the wins of the week. Wow. Okay, let's see who is the participant in here. Let's see. Good evening, Tarak. Delighted to have you on this call. So I am, let me put aside the chat just in case you share something with me. So what we are going to do today is I'm facilitating lesson 5, and lesson 5 is called Thinking into Results. And this lesson is after the entire program, which is Thinking into Results. You're going to see how important this lesson is because it's at the heart of the mindset transformation that is typical for thinking into results. What do I mean? Now, and this particular lesson had tremendous impact and change on my life personally, because there was an aha moment. When I understood this lesson, everything started to make sense. Why? Because I lived my entire life reacting to what happens to me. We would wait until something happens, a problem happens, and then we react to it. I was living my life by default. I was looking at what the environment is giving me. I was waiting for which job I find myself in. I was waiting to find until which relationship I am in, the husband I have, and so on. And then I start managing my life based on that. Then I look at my bank account and I say, oh, so my salary is this. So what I'm going to do, going to do, I'm going to minimize my lifestyle to fit with that kind of income I have. I found myself, when I look at my bank account, I reduce my, if you like, my lifestyle. And with this lesson, with this particular information, actually I found and I understood, when I understood at a deep cellular level, that in fact, this is not the correct way of living. And actually, you can, and there is a better way of living life, which is living life from inside out, from inside, to the environment, rather than being outside in. So it's inside out. Now, what does this mean? It means simply you either live life reacting to the environment, reacting to what things happen to you, or you decide, you say, this is what I want in my life. This is how I want my life. And now I'm ready to do whatever it takes to live it, to have it in my life. For example, when I decided the salary I was getting from my company was not enough for me, one day, and I'm probably going to mention this for the first time here. So it was one day I was praying, and then as I was praying, I felt inside, this was of course years ago before I started, my businesses and so on and so forth. Then as I was, praying, I felt I was very, very scared. I was very scared and I got emotional while I was praying. And then when I finished praying, I just sat in there on the mat and was like talking and having a conversation with God. And I said, what is it? What is it that's making me scared, even though I always dreamed of having this and so on? And then, when I was so kind of persistent in asking the question, I realized there must be another way. There must be another way, and I decided I'm going to figure out a way where I will never, ever have to feel afraid or scared anymore. I will do anything to live a stable, secure life. And from that day, when I decided, when I took a decision, and then you can see, my friends out here, how we are always one decision away from everything we want. Until you make a decision, nothing is going to happen. You're going to stay in finding excuses in your life. When I took a decision, this is what I'm going to do. One source of income is not good enough for me. It makes me feel like insecure and so on. Despite the fact that we've always been told, by everyone that a job is a security. But then at that point, I felt that the job and having a fixed salary and a fixed income, in the hands of a company is actually not a very secure way. When I understood that, everything started to change. For me, that was a pivotal point. That was really a pivotal point when I understood the concept of multiple sources of income and how to get multiple sources of income. I realized this lesson gives me the how. When, as I always tell you, when Bob Proctor told me, what are your 6 mental faculties? I didn't know. And these 6 mental faculties are exactly what we study in this lesson. And these 6 mental faculties are actually our tools to move on with what we want. We have imagination, will, reason, perception, memory, and intuition. 6 absolutely amazing mental faculties that we can use at any point to change what we want to change in our life. So this is, if you like, the introduction to the Thinking into Results lesson. But before we move on into explaining the lesson and so on, tell me about your wins. I'll go first while you guys think, Uns and Tarek, while you continue to think. My win this week is the 5-day challenge, which I'm doing in my group. And every quarter of a year, I do this 4 times a year. Every quarter, every 3 months, I do a Rise and Raise a challenge, which has now become a tradition. This is the second one. But I did some challenges before, which were not called Rise and Raise. My point in Rise and Raise is that when we rise, when we fulfill our dreams, we perforce are impacting others. And a goal, a win for me is that this message is resonating with a lot of people, whether teachers, whether moms at home, whether dads. I have a lot of people around, dads who are separated from their wives, or whose wives are studying or working abroad, and they have to deal with kids, and they say, yeah, when we grow and develop, we are also raising our kids. We are instilling things in our kids. That's my win for this week. How about yours? Tell me, what's your win for this week? Do we have wins in here? wins, guys, the chat. Okay, let's read this. My win is that I'm moving out from my apartment tomorrow, which has a lot of not good memories. Let it go. Let it go on. Move on in life. This is celebrate the new beginnings. Celebrate the new beginnings. So delighted for you, my friend. So delighted. All the best. Okay, Tarek, yay! Finished writing the script of my goal and 3 of the late homeworks. Better late than never, Tarek. I'm so delighted. I'm so delighted for you. I have them and I will definitely have a look at, providing you with some homework. Let's get started without any further ado. Let's start Lesson 5 with this incredibly talented, modest man who changed the face of history with his theories of relativity, of quantum physics. He is a physic. He is, of course, in physics. And when a statement like this comes from somebody in physics, supposedly very, very left-brained guy, then you understand that there is truth in what he says. He says we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Let me say it again. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Meaning, if we continue doing the same thing and expect different results, this is what he says also. That's the definition of insanity. Meaning, to change something, if you want different outcomes, then you need to adopt, you need to follow a different way of thinking, a different way of solving the problem. And one of the books that really reinforces this idea is this book called U Squared. It's by Price Pritchett, and it says a high velocity formula for multiplying your personal effectiveness in quantum leaps. And it says one of the principles of changing your life is, what does it say? Quit trying harder. Meaning, sometimes there are situations where if you keep pushing and pushing and pushing and trying harder and harder, it's not going to give you the answer. It's not going to give you the solution. Why? Because you are using the same technique, the same principle to solve the problem. What you're going to do is you're going to change your thinking, change the way you approach the problem. There is an incredibly amazing story, and I'm going to use this book in one of our Lunch and Learn to explain this book. These are 35 pages in this book, but they are so incredibly transformational. But the book very quickly starts with the story of a fly. You know, a story of the fly by a windowsill, by the window pane, and it's bumping its head against the window, against the glass. Why? Because it wants to go out. He says, the fly will continue to bump its head against the glass until it dies. And we all know, like all those flies by the windowsill, dead. Why? Because they kept using the same strategy again and again and again, and they did not think of another strategy. Why is it that they didn't think of another strategy? In some of the cases, the door will be open and probably it's 10 seconds of flying and the fly could be out in the fresh air if it changed its strategy. But this is an indication that most of the time we are trapped we are trapped in the idea that if I try a little harder, if I push a little harder, maybe it will solve my problem. But sometimes no, a change of strategy is really necessary. Thinking into results. A worthy ideal is something you are going after that you've never done before. Why do we need to remind ourselves of what's a worthy ideal in lesson 5? We are in lesson 5 dealing with we want different results. Now we are reminded of, you know, the definition of a worthy ideal. Let me tell you why. A worthy ideal is something you are going after that you've never done before. If you are going to do something you've never done before, you cannot create something you've never done before with the same old techniques and skills, with the same old thinking that generated your current results. This is the idea. If you are going after a big goal, you cannot go after a big goal using the resources, the tools, and the techniques of going after a small goal, right? You cannot use the same old thinking that the environment has put in your head, like how to solve a problem, and still hope you are going to get different results. It doesn't happen that way. That's the definition of insanity. So let's recap, guys. This is our stick person. This is our stick person. And basically, remember, this was like the creation of Thurman Fleet in 1934, and he is the first and probably the only one who created a representation for us to understand the mind, because nobody understood what does it mean mind, what's the mind. And most of the time people think, oh, the mind is my brain. It's not your brain. Mind is in every cell in our body. We need to understand that the mind is not the brain. The mind is not the physical organ of the brain, right? Now, what do we have? We have the conscious mind, and the conscious mind operates by or using certain sensors. And these sensors are our sensory faculties. The sensory faculties, meaning seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. We have 5 amazing sensory factors that connect us to the outside world, that connect us to everything that is outside. But on the other hand, we have mental faculties. We have mental faculties. What are these mental faculties? So most of the time, like animals, they live in the world. Creatures like plants, they can live and survive using the sensory factors. Human beings, on the other hand, they have 6 incredibly empowering mental faculties. I always say, unfortunately, these mental faculties are not taught, and they are not supported or encouraged or, if you like, given a boost in the school system. They are our perception, our imagination, our will, our intuition, our memory, and our reason. By and large, some of the courses, for example, in physics or mathematics or this, they touch on using reasoning skills, analytical skills. There are some skills that are, if you like, touched upon, but there are some others that are hardly ever touched on. For example, intuition. Have you ever if you like, come across any course at university, at MBA level, at PhD level, that teaches you how to tune in to your intuition? Do we even give it importance? I don't think we give it importance. This intuition, that soft little voice that most of the time would be the first indicator. Yes, do it. What if you do it? But then pretty soon, the intuition or the intuitive voice is overpowered by the monkey voice, by the voice of our limiting beliefs, by the voice that the environment from our little life has put in our life as to what is possible, what is not, what is doable, what is not, what is acceptable, what is not. And then pretty soon we start, quietening the voice of our intuition and start following what everybody is doing, right? Now, perception, what is perception? Perception is our point of view. And when we start looking at a problem or an issue from a different point of view, then you can start thinking differently. Let's give it a try. Let's say, for example, you have a business and you are in front of a decision to make a big investment. Let's take the example, for example, when I was making this lofty, big investment into becoming a Procter Gallagher consultant. It wasn't small money. It wasn't small cash. And I was scared to death. I was scared to death to take a decision. Nobody in my family knew what I was doing. Nobody knew how much I paid. And I did it all by my own because I knew if I start telling people, they would probably fight me or say, that's not a good idea. You're going to lose your money. You're going to what. And I did not want another fight in my life. I was fighting already the scared monkey voice in my head telling me, don't do it, you are going to lose your money. What is this thing called consultancy training and what, and I still did it, so my perception here or perception can help a lot. Why? Because there are two main ways. It's either I buy into my previous thinking. So there is a crossroad now. I'm in front of a big decision. It's either I follow my old thinking, and my old thinking would always tell me, be careful, Nabila, spend your money wisely. You have kids, you have a family, you have responsibilities. Don't squander your money like this on unnecessary things. And that's one way of looking at things. Every time I was going to invest in myself or invest something that makes me happy, I was always thinking, what if it doesn't work? What if I'm losing my money? This money, wouldn't it be better if I put it in my family? If I, do it to help my kids or do it to purchase something for the family? I was always putting my family, I was always putting everyone, in fact, everyone ahead of me, everyone ahead of me. So if I use the old thinking, I would have never, ever taken that decision to move on with becoming a Procter Gallagher consultant. I'm getting very emotional on this. Now, the second type of thinking is the following. What if it works? So the first kind of thinking is, what if it doesn't work? What if you lose your money? What if you are perhaps a greedy, you are selfish, you like yourself too much? Why don't you think about this for the family? Wouldn't it be better if you put it safely to do XYZ, or to pay, for example, my apartment's mortgage or something like this? Now, the second type of thinking was my intuition. It told me, this is it. And probably you won't believe it, but I signed up for 6-figure to become a Procter Gallagher consultant in 20 minutes. It took me 20 minutes. I was on a call, and in 20 minutes, I signed up to become a Procter Gallagher consultant. There was something that day that told me, this is it. and I did it and I followed it. And that was my intuition. So the opposite way of looking at things is, what if it works? What if I believe in myself and make it work? What if this is my alternative runaway out of the job? And I was telling you, I've been, a couple of weeks after that incident where I was praying and I was asking for guidance and so on and so forth. And then this opportunity became possible. So in 20 minutes, I took the decision and jumped in. It's a perception. You decide to think differently. How do you think differently? You say, if I were Bob Proctor, if I were the Nabila Diab, who has already achieved her dream. Now I'm Nabila Diab and I've achieved my dream. I created multiple sources of income. Will I be hesitating to invest in myself? Will I be thinking of the old way of thinking, the way that my family taught me to think? Like that I need to give priority to my family, that I should come last, that so and so. I would never have been able to take that decision if I did not decide for, a couple of handful times in my life to think differently and put stakes on myself and think differently. And I was thinking, if I were among the 1% people, the movers and shakers of the world, the people who think, act, and operate differently. If I were Bob Proctor or Brian Dalmazzo, who is my mentor, if I were Monica DeMaran, that's the lady who signed me up into Proctor Gallagher Consult. If I were one of these successful people, would I hesitate to invest in myself? And the answer came very quickly. No, I wouldn't hesitate. And I jumped. That's putting all my stakes on something I believed in. And there was a soft voice, my intuition, that told me, go ahead and do it. 20 minutes, guys. Can you believe it? That's the power of intuition and the power of wanting to think differently. Always ask yourself when you take a decision, if I were already who I want to be or where I want to be, what would be my decision? That's how you think differently. Because unless you do that, you are going to think in the old way. You see what I mean, guys? So that's perception is a point of view. So anytime confronted with a decision, say, if I were, take the example of somebody you think of highly, your role model or somebody. Say, if I were that person, if I were that trader who is already successful, if I were this businessman who immigrated to Canada, then, and I was already successful, will I hesitate to make this decision and follow that decision? Because unless you change the way you think about things, nothing is going to change. Now, imagination. Second, absolutely incredible mental faculty is imagination. Imagine reality. Everything in this world starts as an idea, as a thought in our head. Everything, from the internet to computers to anything, has started as a creative act. A creative act. We call them imaginal acts. So for you guys, if you want to bring your goal into reality, you need to create an imaginal act. Imagine reality. Create yourself a scene where you have already achieved your goal. If you have achieved your goal, where would you be living? And create a scene around it. What is it? Where am I? What is the context? What am I wearing? What am I doing? Who is with me? What is somebody telling me? And create an act, create it in your imagination and impress it, day and night, and especially when you are in your theta state, which is early in the morning, the first 15 minutes when you wake up and the last 15 minutes before you go to sleep. Your mind is in theta state. Your conscious mind is, if you like, has calmed down, and you are in a theta state. That's a very, very important, if you like, phase in our cycle, where we are in theta state, where the conscious mind is at its best. It is ready, and there is a little door that is open where you can suggest idea to your subconscious mind. And when you visualize yourself in that imaginal act, the subconscious mind has absolutely no choice but to believe that this is real. Why? Because the subconscious mind doesn't differentiate between past, present, and future, doesn't differentiate between what you want or what you don't want. The only thing it sees, this thing is being impressed on me, meaning negative thoughts. This person is always thinking negative thoughts. This person is always impressing frustration and anger and unhappiness. He wants this, let me give him more. So it will create more of the same. On the other hand, if you impress ideas of prosperity, ideas of wealth, of success, of living in a different country, of having a bank account with XXXX in it, then, my friends, you have created a different story. You see what I mean? Awesome. The will. This is such a powerful tool. The will gives you, let me backtrack. Intuition, your intuition picks up vibrations and translates those vibrations. I'm sure you've been in a room, and the moment you enter, you say, whoa, I don't want to be in this room. I need to leave. Where you feel the vibration, you feel you are either not wanted, or you feel the vibes are not favorable, or you feel somebody is so jealous of you. You feel it. How do you feel it? How do you feel it? You know what makes you pick up those vibrations? There is vibration. We are energetic beings. And when we take, if you like, a picture of ourselves using radiology, we will see a halo of light around us. And the halo of light could be in different colors and at different levels of vibrations, you know. And when you get in the zone of that person, you can pick up the vibration. You can pick up the vibration. You can see, you can feel if that person appreciates you. You can feel if that person, you know, has positive feelings towards you or not. You feel those things. When you start giving space for your intuition to connect with you, you become a highly vibrational person. Your intuition, by the way, these are all skills, these are all muscles. The more you build them, the more you use them, the more you strengthen them, the more they become stronger and stronger. Right now, our intuition is kind of low. Why? Because we don't give it too much space in our life. In our life, in the daily life, people say, oh, use your logic, use your reason, use your reasoning strategy. That's the only thing. Intuition, we don't give it so much importance. You know, guys, there's something they say. When we pray, we are talking to God. When we are using our intuitive powers, when we listen to our intuition, it's God speaking to us. Always keep a bidirectional relationship with the one and only, with the all-knowing, all-powerful, with God, with universal intelligence that permeates, penetrates, and fills all space. There is absolutely nothing that is not of God and that is not filled with, if you like, the vibrations of God. So that's your intuition. Now the will, the will, the will, all of us understand when there is a will, there is a way. The will is like the difference between light and laser. Will helps you get laser focused on the thing you want. And you have the example in our lesson, the difference, when you use the, if you like, the magnifier, and you put it against the sun, it's basically you channel all that force the sun can have into one spot, which could be on our skin and it burns it. It could be our clothes and it burns it. It could be anything and it burns. Why? We have chartered, if you like, all that light coming from the sun through the magnifier, and it became laser focus. Laser is like that. So here with the light, we have diffusion of light. But when you channel all that light into a laser, it becomes so, so, so powerful. Hundreds and thousands of times more powerful. So that's the effect of will. Memory is the faculty by which the mind stores and remembers information. This is useful because with that you build experience. Memory helps us build experience and not do the same mistakes again, and it helps you do a lot of things. It's like a computer. It helps you sift through a lot of information in order to bring you the best decision. And reason, of course, gives you the ability to think. I think with reason we are quite familiar, because this is at least something that is used, adopted in the school system. That's for lesson 5, which is thinking into results. How do we use all of these mental muscles to take control of our life? What is it I can do? What is it I can do to, if you like, improve my life? To improve my life using my, if you like, my mental faculties. Now, for lesson 4, for you guys, I'm going to go very quickly on lesson 4. So in lesson 4, we saw it's about the secret genie, how to tap into your true potential, how to spot those habits, those paradigms that are keeping you behind, so to speak, keeping you stuck in old paradigms. Once you spot the paradigm, then you break it down into habits, then pick the habit that you would like to change, 1 or 2 habits maximum, 1 or 2 habits maximum, and start working on them. How do you work on them? By writing down the exact opposite. First, of course, I'm sure if you follow the exercises, you would have gone into writing the old habit, replacing with a new habit, and then either burning or shredding those habits. Right, that's one thing you have done. You have done. Now, in lesson 4, the secret genie, have you established your goals? By now, I think we've all, we are all clear about our goals, I hope. If you are struggling with anything, I'd like you to book a laser call and we can discuss it. What daily actions do you have that are habitual? Let me just put aside this one. And that ensure you are moving towards your goal. You want to have habits that empower you. If you see there is a habit that is not empowering you, it's dragging you down, You want to move forward, but this habit, for example, if you have a goal like to eat healthy and so on, and then you have a habit which goes counter, then you need to work on that habit. If you are smoking, or if you are doing anything, by the way, smoking is not a habit, smoking is a paradigm. You are not born smoking. You have acquired the habit, or the until it became and it hardened into a paradigm that it's like walking or talking, or anything. It became, uh, if you like, a routine, a belief that it is good for you. And pretty much in exactly the same way, you unwire eating unhealthy or eating fast food, or the same way you unwire, for example, I'm shy, or you unwire from your mind, I'm not good enough, or something like, and you put in a new habit. How? By doing an affirmation, writing an affirmation to replace. It's not enough to stop the old habit or to discard the old habit, because if you leave the space empty or blank, there is another old habit, another limiting habits, another not so empowering habit that's going. It's like, think of your mind like a garden. Think of your mind like a garden. Now you cleaned it, it's a fresh and clean and nice. Will it stay like that? No. If you don't plant trees, if you don't plant flowers, if you don't clean it up of all the gremlins and the negative thoughts every now and then, pretty soon you are going to see weeds taken or going all over. It's exactly like our mind is exactly like that. We need to be very careful what to keep in it. Keep the flowers and the trees. So what are your greatest strengths? What are your greatest weaknesses? Do you intend to eliminate your weaknesses? Which one? I have almost a theory regarding this, which is, it's okay to define what are my weaknesses and what are my strengths. But the best way and the fastest way to maximize our potential is to strengthen our strong points or our assets. Why? Because remember, what we think about expands. Hold it in your head, you will hold it in your hand. Everything that is given enough space in our head will materialize. So my thinking, don't focus on your weaknesses and say, no, I need to change them and I want to do, because this brings resistance. Don't resist it. Just by focusing on your strengths, little by little, you'll see your weaknesses fade away as well, right? So do not give focus or attention or energy to the weaknesses. Just continue strengthening your strengths. Okay. So I think okay. So we have been gifted with mental faculties, perception, will, imagination, memory, reason, and intuition. It is our responsibility to learn how to utilize and develop these higher faculties to a greater degree. We are responsible for what happens to us. So it's not the economy, it's not the employer, it's not the company, it's not COVID-19, it's us. We need to take full control of our situation. This is how we start, if you like, living life in our own or on our own terms. Why? Because we take control. You are the only one who is responsible for creating the results you want in life by using these amazing mental faculties. We are programmed to live from the outside in. That programming causes a tendency for us to become the plaything for outside forces. Somebody teases us, we become frustrated. Somebody triggers us, we become angry. That's you become the plaything of life. We should observe and be aware of what is going on in our outside world, but we are capable of creating our world with our higher faculties, not just accepting our current conditions and circumstances. Objectively, this is what you can do. Objectively observe what is going on in your outside world, but don't let it control your thinking. Don't let Corona or COVID-19 control your thinking. Don't pay too much attention to the media because they have an agenda of their own, because they want you glued in front of the TV watching all the numbers. That's one goal. Is that your goal? Perhaps no. So you need to use your mental faculties to think differently. So think thoughts that will create the idea of what you want. What do you think? Is binging in front of Netflix or in front of the CNN or Fox News for hours, trying to understand what is COVID and what people are saying, how is this going to advance me? Isn't it going to impact my thinking negatively by taking too much space from my thought? I think so. So at that point, you consciously observe the new result, you mentally adapt to the new results, and immediately begin to think the thoughts that create the idea of how to improve upon it. You stay in charge. Don't let the outside world control you. You control the outside world. How do you do it? By using your imagination. Create what you want in your mind. Give it flesh. Give it details, give it energy, give it, nurture it. Think about it every day, or whenever you find yourself on your own or anything, connect with that better and higher version of yourself. That's how you fill your mind and you marinate your mind with the new thoughts. Think about this, as opposed to marinating your mind with all the details and ideas about Corona and this and that, and the economy is going to be bad and this and that, right? Okay, now this is the application of lesson 5. Right now, are your results causing your thinking, or is your thinking causing your results? Pretty solid question here. Are your results, what you have now as your results, is it impacting your thinking, or is it your thinking that is controlling your results? Can you tell me in the chat box? Both. Okay. Okay, I'll come back to this question on intuition and reason. I see it now. Depends on the mood. Okay, so we need to do something with the mood. We need to do something with the mood. What is mood? It's vibration. It's vibration you are taken from a good source or not so good source. You decide, Sometimes without thinking, when we fill our body with negative vibrations from any source, from a friend, from TV, from looking out of the window and seeing a fight, from looking at what's going on in the US and, that situation, without knowing, guys, you have taken in some shots of negative energy. You have put it in your body. That shot of negative energy is bound to be expressed one way or another through your body. It's going to get expressed. Whatever you impressed on your mind, it's gonna be expressed. There's no way for you to let it go without it materializing, expressing itself one way or another. That's why we say, be super careful what you expose your mind to. Who are the people around you? Who are the people that you are allowing to affect your mind? Because when you sit with friends, let's put it this way, let's be honest about this. You are the average of the 5 people around you. Whoever you hang out with, you are the 6th person. Hang out with 5, mediocre people, you're going to be the 6th one. Hang out with 5 brilliant minds, people who are always thinking, how can I advance? How can I move on to the next level up? How do I achieve my time and money freedom? Trust me, you're going to be the 6th person in that group. You see what I mean? So, okay. So this is a very important distinction, probably the most, oh, hold on. I think I moved on very quickly. Probably the most important point to make in this lesson. Think of a situation in the external environment. What is the situation? Say, for example, COVID or the situation in the US. What is your thinking about the situation? What are the actions you are taking because of your thinking? You are talking about it, you are discussing it, you are writing about it, you are sharing it. What are the what are the results that are created? What do you think? Are you getting the same results over and over again? Is your thinking helping you get the desired results? So if you think, say, COVID, I talk about COVID, I repeat COVID, I share COVID, you're going to amplify the thinking about COVID. Take the situation in the US, you watch it on social media, your mind is impressed, drilled by these images, you talk about it, you share it, you send it, and so on. Pretty soon, you're going to be, kind of express the same, more of the same. You see what I mean? You think about the problem, you are going to express more of the same, a problem, right? You think about solution, you are going to express solution. You think about a better future, a brighter future for myself, you are going to express better and more beautiful results. Our mind is like this, 100% precision. Energy in, energy out. Energy in, energy out. Now shift your thinking process. Look at the result, describe the result. Is this something you want? Or some of the results you are getting because you are binging on Netflix or watching the news or hanging out with not such a great company with friends? Let me see, I think there is a question. So which is better, to watch news and do not react, or to leave it at all? I think, of course, sometimes we need to be aware of what's going on in the world, not extensively. You watch it, but you don't interact with it. Even the people, for example, who come to us for consultation and they have problems, even when they talk about the problem, we tell them to talk about it, to give us the story like very quickly, and then we quickly move on to the solution. We quickly move on to what can we do to improve it, because you don't want to stay in the zone where you are talking about the problem, because your mind can take it as, problem, and you don't want to duplicate that. So yeah, be aware of the news that are happening in the world, but do not stay in it. Do not interact. Do not say it. Do not repeat it, because everything we say, you know, has an impression on our thoughts. You see what I mean? What we talk about expands. Whatever you talk about expands. Say 100 times a day, I am confident, I am amazing, I am incredibly talented, and say this for 30 days and see what happens to your self-image. See what happens to the level of self-confidence. On the other hand, tell your child 5 times a day, you are not worthy, you don't deserve, you don't deserve, you don't deserve, you're not good enough, your grades are not good. Say, tell this to your child, like even once a week. You will see he will end up with a poor self-image. This is so powerful when we understand it. So powerful when we understand it. What is happening in the US is important. It is a subject that is near and dear to my heart. Okay, that's fine. I cannot stay silent. I would say it is important, but from there to say near and dear to my heart, that's a strong statement. But you choose what you bring closer to your heart. I cannot stay. You can stay silent. Of course, you can express it, but try not to be emotionally involved with it. I'm sharing so people are aware about this. Did not affect my results this week. Absolutely incredible. The way you think about thoughts is really the way you will get the results. So, um, okay, let's go very quickly about this. So we have our thinking, what we are emotionally involved with, and the results. Anything we are or we get emotionally involved with it means we affected our subconscious mind. It is going to be expressed. You see what I mean? It's not like passing thoughts. Okay, I watched some news and so on, and I let it go. Not you let it go, meaning you don't give it importance. You let it go in the sense you are not so like emotionally involved with it, because what you get emotionally involved with will materialize. And I'll move on from this point. So think about the results you are having. Is this something you want? If not, begin to think of what you thought. Begin to think of what you want. Build the image of what you do want in your mind. What new thoughts can you have about the situation? Thoughts of maybe the US being in peace, everyone back home, stable, the situation has cleared. Think about that. There is a superpower when we combine our thinking to heal something in the world, or to meditate towards doing something good. The combined energy can go a long way. Right now, the energy, we are not going to help by sustaining thoughts of, for example, killing or disturbance or anything. You see what I mean? So what new thoughts can you have about the situation? How can you think about the situation differently? What new feelings could you have about this new image? How do you feel about these new thoughts? Then what actions are you inspired to take as a result of these feelings? Where will these actions lead you? To what results? So thinking, getting emotionally involved. So I think about the situation, I imagine my goal, I imagine what I want, I imagine the situation I want to create, I get emotionally involved with it. Then immediately after that, I follow up with massive action. Massive action to get me towards what I want. what is one action you can commit to, and that will support your thinking and the achievement of your goal? What is one action you can commit to taking, and that's going to bring you closer to your goal? Tariq and Uns, what is one thing you can do, and that's going to bring you closer to your goal? Of course, you specified your goals, you know exactly what your goal is. What's one thing? Where is the massive action? Where should it be directed? Do we have some answers in here? To focus on it. Focus on your goal. That's one action. Um, awesome. You can use your will to bring it back as the most important goal. Organization and planning on the part of us. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now for focus, Tariq, what mental faculties are you going to use out of the 6? 1, 2, 3. Will. Absolutely. Of course, the will. You are going to focus on the will. You are going to use your mental faculty of your will and say, I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to stay focused and work on my milestones. Tariq, how about by working smart on my milestones? You want to take away the struggle and the working hard. How about we work smart towards our goal? What do you think? The will. Excellent. And on the part of Uns, what mental faculty are you going to use to keep everything organized and you plan well and so on and so forth? Reason. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This is absolutely, absolutely amazing. I think better to work smart and hard. Smart means when it needs pushing and working hard, it is. But don't think about struggling. I mean, doing everything the hard way. Some of the things are easy. Why don't you go the easy way? I'm going to achieve my goal and it's easy. And it's easy, you know. Start introducing a little bit of easiness, a little bit of flow. Be in the flow, be in the flow, be in the spirit, as we said in the last session. Be in the spirit of your goal, be in the spirit of your business, be in this. What can you do right now, right here, to feel good? What is one thing that is making you feel good? Massive action is to work hard. Massive action means doing what you need to do to make it happen. It's a smart. You can do sometimes a million, 1,000 action, and it doesn't give results. And sometimes you do one thing and it's the right thing. But that's when you are focused, when you are using an act of will in it. Right. Okay. I'm gonna go back to that question before we wrap up the call, which is about reason and intuition. How do I know that my intuition is right or wrong? By using it. When you use your intuition is always right. But you have to make sure it's your intuition and not the paradigm voice, not the monkey voice. You see what I mean? Your intuition, this is your higher source. This is the better version of yourself. This is your connection point with God, with spirit, with the all-knowing, all-powerful. And it can never, ever, ever, ever mislead you, right? It can never mislead you. And therefore, but you need to be sure it's your intuition and not the monkey voice. Sometimes we listen to reason and we think, oh, that's my intuition. No, intuition is what you feel. What you feel, and generally your intuition is the first message you receive about something. The first message, it's your sixth sense that tells you do it. And then very quickly, the louder voice will come and say, no, you cannot do it because so and so. That's the monkey voice. But the first voice that tells you, maybe you can do it. And it's very soft, but the other one is loud and compelling, right? I'm sure I saw another question. I'd like to know too, sometimes reason and intuition aren't correlated. No. Intuition comes from the heart. It's a soft voice that speaks to you. It's soft at the beginning, but little by little, when you start listening to it, it can become stronger. And it becomes your guiding compass in life. But it's because we don't use it that we tend to not give it any importance. Most of the time, we listen to it and we say something telling us something, but we don't give it importance and we use reason. It's not reason. Intuition is always from a space of heart, from a space of I feel. The other one is I think, I reason, I analyze, okay? Well, I was super delighted to facilitate this session for you guys. So intuition is always positive and monkey voice is negative. Intuition is always right. Monkey voice is misleading because it's based on limiting beliefs. The monkey voice doesn't want you to get out of your comfort zone at all, because change is painful for the monkey voice. You see what I mean? The monkey voice, the voice of the paradigm, the voice of limiting beliefs is the voice that tells you, no, it's a bad decision. Stay where you are. Don't change. Don't invest your money. Don't do this. You are good as you are. Continue to live as you are. That's the monkey voice. That's the voice of our environment. That's the voice of our inner critic, always telling us it's not a good idea to change. Your intuition is what you feel is right. What you feel is right. It comes from a place of heart, from a place of connection. Intuition is the first message that comes to you first, like reactively. At the beginning, you get a reaction. Do it. But then, of course, you get all the back and forth discussion with the monkey voice. If you bring some specific examples to your laser call, I would most definitely be able to further help you with this. I was super, super delighted to have you guys here tonight. Can we potentiate it? Potentiated? What do you mean potentiated, Tara? Maybe you can explain to me in the laser call. I don't understand potentiated. I don't even think there is a word potentiated. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye-bye.